Australia has a rich and diverse heritage architectural identity. Suburbs around the country are peppered with beautiful houses of yesteryear, from elegant Victorian terraces to humble colonial cottages, Federation double brick veneers to the classic California bungalow. Australia's architectural landscape is full of character, warmth and nostalgia. Perhaps one of the most beautiful elements of any heritage home is a tessellated tile entrance. With their playful geometry and rich colours, tessellated entrances, when designed and laid correctly, can really make the facade of a house. I'm Stephen and I'm the project coordinator here at Old English Tiles. We've installed tessellated floors for places like Parliament of Victoria, Kirribilli House, Curzon Hall and thousands of homes across the country. We've been doing it for over 50 years and now we're going to share the knowledge and experience of how to design the right floor with you. Let's get to it. How to choose the right tessellated pattern for your home. With such a diversity of eras and styles, there are three main things that we pay careful attention to when determining the right tessellated pattern: the space, the era, the colour. Let's start with space. Determining the profile of the space at hand is important when considering what type of pattern you go with. Some patterns look great in small spaces, whereas others excel in larger areas. Now, why is that? Tessellated tiles have what is known as the repeat. This is the point at which the pattern repeats itself and creates the beautiful seamlessness. Some patterns are more appropriate to some spaces than others. Victorian terraces, which you can find in abundance in suburbs such as Sydney's Paddington, have characteristically narrow verandas. Patterns such as the Bath, Old English 100 and Fitzroy work beautifully because of the small repeat in the pattern. Borders which frame a tessellated pattern need to be the right thickness so that the design doesn't feel cramped. Conversely, in wider paths and larger spaces, patterns such as the Bristol, Leeds and Paddington can flourish. But in curved paths, a different approach is required altogether. You'll notice here that we opted for a more organic and open pattern that flows with the curvature of the space, as opposed to something that is strong and angular in geometry. Our Glasgow and plain 100 by 100 tessellated patterns are a fantastic example of this. Next, let's look at the era of the home. Knowing when your home was built will help in designing a floor that looks like it belongs to the era of the house was constructed in. A great example of this is the quintessentially Australian Federation brick home. This style of home was often built with beautifully rich, deep-coloured bricks. Dark reds and purples, even reddy browns, dominate the Australian heritage landscape, so it's important to reflect this in the designing of the floor. For a brick Federation home in general, we suggest primarily earthy colour schemes with a strong red influence. Pops of other colours such as a charcoal helps to pick up the darker purple hues in the bricks, whilst greens and oatmeals reflect the traditional Federation colour scheme and the native Australian fauna. The Federation era also saw the use of single coloured encaustics as opposed to the multicoloured palette in Victorian times. So keep it simple. Victorian era homes, on the other hand, had a more vivid colour palette in their floors. Blue, greens, pinks and mauves were common and the encaustics were often multicoloured and very vibrant. Okay, now let's look at the colour of your home's facade. Choosing a colour scheme that complements the colour scheme you have chosen for your home will ensure that the tessellated tile floor marries well with the facade. You have two tips to help you choose the right colour scheme. The first, inverse colours. Look at the primary paint colour of your home. Is it dark? Is it light? Whatever it is, try and go for the opposite in your floor. Choosing a colour scheme that is the inverse of the facade will make the tessellated tiles the feature of the entrance of the home. Here we have a home with a darker colour scheme. You'll notice that we actually chose a lighter colour scheme for the floor, which makes the path really come alive. Conversely, look at the veranda in this project. The lighter coloured home went for the darker Glasgow option. Observe the colours of the accents in the home, such as doors, window frames and plasterwork, and infuse them into the floor. This lovely Victorian home has a lovely green door and window sills. Notice how we peppered the floor with pops of green, making the floor and facade really bind well together. In this floor, we picked up the beautiful blue hue of the door and infused it into the design of the tessellated pattern and border. tying the two together for a cohesive and holistic colour scheme. Of course, when it comes to colours, these are all suggestions. And there you have it. Designing a tessellated floor, when broken down to its most important elements, need not be overwhelming. With a myriad of different pattern and colour scheme combinations, settling on the right design may seem daunting, but having a solid understanding of the space, era and colours in which you're designing the floor can not only help you choose the appropriate design for your home, it can be incredibly fun and a very visually rewarding project. Of course, if you'd like us to come out and take a peek at your space and lend a hand, just reach out. We've been doing it for decades.